issue of the division of revenue bill, this has been going on from June when the budget statement was read. I don't know what's happening, but today again, there's that possibility that what they have been mediating and looking for solution to get the increased amount of allocation, they'll not get, because the language of the finance minister or the Treasury Cabinet Secretary shows that they're going to settle at the 310, which has been a contention and subject of mediation. Let me begin with you, engineer, on this.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, for inviting me to the show. I think, of course, the problem with the division of revenue is really the problem that has been there for now since the 11th Parliament came into place, and now the 12th Parliament, and which is really the supremacy war between the Senate and the National Assembly. But at the core of it, really, I think if you look at the debates on both sides, I have been keenly listening. There is a school of thought, which a school I subscribe to, that yes, it is in order to give counties more money. But then what have we done to make sure that we seal the loopholes in the counties? Because there is quite a lot of wastage in the counties. I mean, that is known. When we fought for this constitution, remember, devolution was the centerpiece of this constitution. People were told, in fact, we were at the forefront in telling our people that a lot of the problems that have been troubling you at the grassroots level, once this constitution is entrenched, there will be a thing of the past. We are not seeing that happening. Okay. There is more squalor in the villages. People, there's more desperation, there's more degradation in the villages, and this is really where the problem is. So the school of thought that is opposed, rightly so, the increase of revenue, is arguing that why are we giving more money when all we are seeing is plunder? And we are seeing, and these are not just mythical statements.
There are real things happening.
There are real things happening. We are seeing millionaires sprouting out, I mean, overnight.
But is that a reason enough, engineer, to deny the counties money? Is it a reason? Because even at the national government, there's even more money lost at the county, at the national level. Is it a reason enough?
It is not reason enough. But what I personally would think that without mechanisms really to plug, because remember, the money that is going to the counties, it's really the money that's attacking the problems that are at the grassroots level.
Yes.
It is more hurting. I mean, it affects the basic needs of the people at that level.
Okay.
So really, if it can reach the people, and the problems that are faced of people at the grassroots level, these are not major problems. It's how do I pay fees for my children? Where do I get water? Do I get medicine? The real bread and butter issues. Okay. So as long as those problems are not being addressed, then the legitimacy of the concerns really has to be there.
All right, let me hear from Kabando.
Thank you very much, and nice to be here with you, Ken, and colleagues Muthama and Gubo here. The main issue about the division of revenue is that it is not from down. It is, since 2013, an issue of the top, between the Senate and the National Assembly. If you go to Nyeri or to Siaya or any other county for that matter, even talking to employees of the counties, the county executives, very few, if any, because I've tried to interrogate a number in certain forums recently, will tell you what is the justification of the numbers that are being asked.
The total amount that the counties are asking for.
The total amounts.
Yes.
Very few professionals, even in matters to do with the devolution, will tell you exactly why this specific amount and not the other. To the extent that it is now more to do with the politics.
Okay.
The Council of Governors causing this persuasion because counties need this. The National Assembly saying that the national government requires this amount because this is what is due to the counties. The fact that the Senate and the National Assembly are not in any way in concurrence, and I don't remember any time. And I'm happy that
they've ever agreed.
And I'm very happy that in this panel we have former senator
yes.
And in the leadership of the Senate, Pioneer Senate in Kenya, and also at least since 2013, and the former chairman of the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
They can attest to the fact that there have been pushes and pulls, sometimes dealing with egos. And therefore, what needs to be done is to revisit that particular matter of budgeting. Budget making, the processes, and the obligations of the national government, and the minimum basic obligations of both the houses of parliament, so that it is not a pull and a push
and an ego game.
An ego game.
The people who are hurting are the people in the county, the nurses who are not paid.
You remember the famous taxation in Narok, which was really a shame of the country. We had the leader of majority, then in the National Assembly, and is still today the leader of majority, attacking the then chairman of the Council of Governors, then governor of Bomet, Isaac Ruto, and asking him whether this money belongs to the man.
Yes.
It shows the embarrassing simplicity with which this matter is addressed.
All right, let me hear from the senator. You have been watching what's happening between the two houses of parliament. One, it's very dirty, it's not neat at all in the eyes of the public, and we know right now the counties are suffering and still going on.
Thank you, Ken, and I want to speak from the experience I have. I've served in Parliament as the government chief whip, and also in the Senate as the whip of the opposition. My brother here, Ngumbo, was the Public Accounts Committee chairman. And I'm surprised that he misses the point which was raised by Kabando here. The experience we have, those who have served before effectively, is that when you look at what is going on now, the Senate from the first word go has been always seen to be a House of Representatives who does not have, the holding capacity of working with the executive. And all the powers has been directed to the National Assembly. And I agree with Kabando here that the debate that is taking place now is not between the two houses, but it is commanded from the top. And it is only that top that is saying, only money that is being debated, do you know how much is it? 16 billion shillings.
The difference.
16 billion shillings. And look at the money that has been stolen. This is the money that has been taken away. And compare with what has been owed in this fund.
Senator, what do you mean the top? Who are you looking at when you refer to the top?
You know, when Kabando said that the battle is pegged on the top, it is where, and I said I will speak with experience. It is now when, personally, I've seen instructions coming from the top officers of the leadership saying that money cannot be allowed to be given. But now this is the point. Look at those who are causing all these problems. Members of parliament. Are they paid? Yes. Are the people in the counties being paid? The answer is no. Are the people getting the services? The answer is no. Secondly, to hold this money on the basis that this cannot be increased because there is stealing of funds. Who is not stealing in Kenya? Tell me one department in this country which is not stealing, and that has never been mentioned with stealing. You said office of the president, there are issues. Deputy president's office, there are issues. Ministers' offices, there are issues. Move to the counties itself, the governors, there are issues.
County assemblies.
So you cannot pick one line and say because of this, we are not releasing the funds.
Yes.
The problem is with the executive in this country.
Okay.
They should tell the National Assembly to approve this money. And for this one here, I'm saying Senate is right.
Senate is right. He brought it back to your court because he says he's surprised you didn't recognize. The problem is at the top. Do you agree the problem is at the top? Because today it was the executive, it was the cabinet that was responding to this. And as I said at the beginning, the sense, what you get from the conversation with the acting Treasury Cabinet Secretary is you're asking us for that additional money. By the way, the difference is 16 billion. But that's based on what? Based on the original figure, or based on the figure that the Senate is asking, or based on the figure that the Council of Governors is asking? So he says the problem is at the top.
Well, that's his opinion, really. Of course, like Honorable Kabando says, we really need to look at the whole process of the budget cycle, from the budget design to the laws governing budgeting and really the entire cycle up to the auditing process, because that is really how the public finance cycle works. And I agree with Senator Muthama. It is true, of course, there is plunder all over, and that cannot but be the justification per se on its own. But that's the reason that is being advanced. So what I am saying is that, yes, it is true. The executive has come out very clearly and said, we don't have the money. The big muscle of the executive is clearly at play here. There's no question about that. And I agree with him completely. Yes.
I get the sense that it's the executive actually frustrating devolution from what you're saying, gentlemen. Is the executive?
Definitely sure. Definitely sure. Because when you look at this now, look, for example, government is saying, out of a budget of 2.8 or 3 trillion shillings, this is a fraction of not even 5%, not even 10%, not even 1% actually, if you do proper calculation, with the trillions of budgets. Now, the same government that is saying, and same members of parliament who are saying there is no money to increase to the counties, are the same members of parliament who are making a trip, 100 of them, to United States, to spend the same money. They are saying the money is not available. They are the same members of parliament who are increasing their house allowance to 250,000
But
shillings.
you'd reason that the money is already availed to them through the Parliamentary Service Commission. The money they're spending right now, it was availed to them already.
But it is themselves who approve this. They had the strength, the capacity to say what has been allocated to parliament is beyond the reach of this country. The budget, the economy of this country cannot allow this. But they have the capacity to sit down because they have the powers and say, we are giving ourselves 250,000 shillings and we'll take it back, 12 months ago. We start 12 months ago. The same members of parliament who are asking now for evening and night allowance, and it will be given to them. These are the people who are saying 16 billion shillings can really make Kenyans suffer the way they are suffering. This country needs salvation. I don't know where we are going. If actually those are the representatives of the people, and this is how they are taking this country. They go there to spend money, and they say 16 billion shillings. It is holding even rightfully what should go to the county.
And now there are threats of counties shutting down because of this.
Of course.
You know, Ken, as was said before, the real cornerstone of the struggle for a new constitution, in my view, was on 2 pillars. One is a Bill of Rights. Kenyans really had suffered so much, they wanted change. Beyond Section 2A being removed in 1991 and beyond the IPPG of 1997 to ensure that some representation in the Electoral Commission and nominations of members of parliament by opposition and all that. Now, to the extent of the Bill of Rights, a lot of ground has been covered. You can see what is happening with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. You know, a lot of space, a lot of work by the Ombudsman, a lot of cases in the courts, detainees and the prisoners of political oppression time are being compensated and all that. People can complain, but people are finding their justice in the corridors of court. But in devolution, there's still some space. And I know we are not yet there. But why some people are saying that we need to relook at the framework of the Constitution in areas of devolution. For instance, we can ask 3 questions. What's the role of the county assemblies? To what extent are they significantly influential in the budget-making process and in oversight in the counties? I know today I read about the story of the Kisumu County Assembly taking an action against a county executive in finance and all that. Yeah. But to what extent are the members of the county assemblies independent and empowered and facilitated, and are they not vulnerable to the attractions of the governors and so on and so forth? About the Senate, to what extent is the Senate influential? Today you find the Senate, he was there, and they can tell you the Senate was even transgressing on some areas. You find them forming a committee to look at the transport in the Kenya Airways probe committee and all that, when really the mandate of the Senate is about the counties. And the mandate of the National Assembly is about representing the people in terms of the national interest. Now, these are areas that can be relooked. The third question is on, as both have said, on the budget making process. There's a section in the Constitution that is well put and they're very loud. But if I go to my backyard, Mukuroini, where I was a member, in the last parliament, in the new dispensation of the Constitution, would I remember any time a parliamentary committee, departmental watchdog, held a public hearing in that area? I can tell you, public hearings in Kenya are hogwash. They are a lie. They are a deception. And the budget making process in the Constitution, in the standing orders, requires public hearings. If you look now today, you ask how many constituencies in the financial year 2018, 2019, and even this one 2019, 2020, out of 290 constituencies, ask the National Assembly
how many did
to
they
say
go?
where they went, even counties. And where they went, maybe it was just a pre-arranged thing.
Okay.
I know when we criticize this, people will say we are former members of parliament.
So you're doing it from outside.
What we are doing from outside.
Yes.
But we are not here to defend ourselves. But the truth is, at certain stages, I'm sure Muthama did take a position that the country can remember. Yeah. And as a chairman of Public Health Committee, we can remember. We need to look at these issues. They are structural and they are governance.
But the point here, we should not look at too many. You know the problem with Kenyans is this. When we start talking about constructing and building a road, we talk about 20, not one, and yet we do not have money for one. The issue here today is money to the counties. The performance of the Senate, its duties, the duties of the National Assembly, and how they will try to overlap one another, is not an issue now.
Okay.
And you raised one point. This is to do with allocation of funds to the counties and what is happening and what is the problem. What we need to talk about and what Kenyans needs to understand is what is causing the blockage
Yes.
of releasing this money.